and welcome again to BCSC in Action. In our third installment, you'll get to see 3 different sections. The first is an interview with Dr. Roberts, the second focuses on universal design for learning, and the third section will spotlight on the Bartholomew Consolidated School Foundation. In our first segment, we sit down with Dr. Roberts and get answers to the questions most pressing to BCSC.
Good morning, Jen. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
Just fine, thank you.
So we're going to start off the morning with a few questions.
Sure.
And the first one for today is that, of course, in any big corporation such as BCSC, the budget is always a very important aspect.
Yes.
So can you give us some highlights of your plan for the budget this year?
I can, and you're right. The budget is a big deal in a public setting, which we are as a public school corporation. It matters a lot to our taxpayers. So always an interesting topic, and we do have to go through a formal process of approval. And that formal process ends with the budget adoption that occurs always in October of the calendar year. And so we are doing that, and the budget we're looking at, probably the first thing the taxpayers want to know are my taxes going to go up? And we don't expect that to be the case. We do expect to have the same tax impact we've had previously, so that's the good news. There will be a slight increase to our budget that we would anticipate. From a dollar standpoint, it may be amazing for our taxpayers to hear that, or for our students, other stakeholders to hear this, but we have a budget that's about $113 million. And the general fund budget that we have is about $73 million. And so those are the kinds of big numbers that we talk about in terms of running this organization that has about 14,000 people in it, 12,000 kids, 2,000 employees, and 21 buildings that we are trying to manage. And so it does take a lot of dollars. But when we look at the overall budget, we're looking at a slight increase of about 1.4%. So going up just a little bit from last year. Much of that is in our general fund. Our general fund is the fund that we use to kind of do everything. But most importantly, probably at least to our staff members, is it pays people's salaries, benefits, those kinds of things. And we did build in a 2% increase for our employees, as well as we've seen some rising health care costs. So with those couple of things, we do have a little bit of an increase, but again, about 1.4% increase to our budget overall, and we believe no tax impact or no tax increase to our taxpayers. So overall, I believe good news from a budget standpoint.
Well, that's very good to hear.
Thank you.
So our second question of the day is enrollment. So enrollment, of course, is a big issue for school administrators. So can you give us a sense of the final numbers for this year?
Yes, enrollment is key, because we just talked about budget, and one of the key things that determines how much money we're going to have to work with is how many students we have. And so every fall in September of each year, we have a specific count day that the Indiana Department of Education gives to us. We count the number of students up. We have about 15 days to clean up all of the data and submit that to the state of Indiana. And then that number of children drives the number of dollars we get specifically for our general fund. I referenced general fund from a budget standpoint, about $73 million, paying staff, all those kinds of things. The more kids we have, the more money we're going to have, the more programs we can offer within our school system. Interestingly enough, I mentioned we have about 12,000 kids earlier. That's when we include preschool, some other early child development programs, and even some programs we have that go past and into post-secondary. But for this ADM count, we're looking at grades K through 12, we will turn in a number of 11,250. And that number is only 0.06 different than it was a year ago at this exact same time. So pretty incredible from a statistical standpoint that with 11,250 kids, you come back with really that exact number just about the following year. So we stayed flat in terms of our enrollment numbers. We are expecting to increase. We didn't necessarily see this, obviously, this particular year with that flat number. But we are, as we project over the next 10 years, we have done a demographic study. We believe the city of Columbus, Bartholomew County overall, will continue to grow in terms of population and enrollment, which will drive then increased student enrollment in our schools, and we have to be preparing for that. But in terms of enrollment right now, 11,250 is the number we're turning into the Indiana Department of Education.
Well, on top of that, because we would be getting new students supposedly in the next 10 years, there's a lot of talk about building a new elementary school, and that'd be on the west side of town. So can you give us any information on this?
I can, and you're right. All this goes hand in hand. So we're looking at over the next 10 years growth. Where is that growth going to occur? How does that impact us from a facility standpoint? We have to think about things like a new elementary school, because that's where we're near capacity already with the number of elementary schools that we have. We're okay in the middle schools, okay in the high schools in terms of being able to grow as a community capacity and add students to those buildings, the elementary school stretched a little bit. And what's interesting, even with staying basically the same in numbers this year, people may move to different parts of the community, and so when we've drawn those district boundary lines and had kids go to specific elementary schools, we might all of a sudden find that one elementary school has room. We have capacity because there are less students now there for one reason or another, but then another school is full. And so we have to look at that. How can we, one, take a look at the current buildings we have and work out the enrollments so that each building is nearer capacity, we don't have those gaps? Or do we just build another elementary school? And so that is a conversation that's going on. It would most likely be on the west side. That's where we've seen a lot of increased growth. South side elementary school is already an elementary school of over 900 kids. And that's just a lot of students in an elementary school. So it's something we have to pay attention to. But if we build another elementary school, that means we'd be moving kids from different districts into that elementary school. It always makes people a little anxious, a little nervous. As a parent of three little ladies who went to another school system, always very interested, engaged in what school they're going to. And if somebody was telling me, hey, by the way, we're going to change that and send your kid to another school, it makes you ask some questions, maybe makes you a little nervous. So we'll continue to inform the public with how this conversation goes, but we do need to be looking at our facilities overall, the capacity they have, elementary schools specifically, and whether or not there's a need for another elementary school or whether there's a way to shift populations a little bit to make sure and manage and utilize the facilities that we currently have.
Well, thank you very much. I know parents are very interested to hear that.
Very much so.
So our fifth question is, many parents and alumni of local schools are very interested in sports and other extracurricular activities. So are there any big success stories?
There have been, and gosh, when this particular episode comes out, we may have a state champion in order to, in regards, or more, because we already have one in Columbus North, but there's still some tournaments going on as we speak. This fall season has been very successful, I think, for both high schools. From a girls golf standpoint, Columbus North had the third place team in the state of Indiana. It was kind of interesting because I think that their score was the 5th lowest in state history, which is really good. You're trying to shoot for a low score, but that put them 3rd in the state this year because numbers 1 and 2 shot the 2 of the top scores ever in state history. So a great season for our girls golf team, and we did have the individual state champion with Holly Anderson. So that was pretty cool to have her win that award and be able to celebrate that for Columbus North. As we're looking forward, we have boys and girls soccer from Columbus North still competing. We have cross-country teams from North still competing, individuals from Columbus East. The football tournament is going on. Columbus East is highly ranked in 5A and North ranked in 6A. Columbus East playing New Pal here as we get ready and are having conversations, so we'll see how all that goes, but exciting stuff. Our bands are doing very well, both Columbus North Band, Columbus East Band, marching along, no pun intended, as they work through that cycle of competition, and as they go through each weekend, you have to earn that. You're not just signing up and participating in an invitational necessarily, so they are doing a great job of participating in those events moving forward. Drama productions are coming up at both East and North. Our Town, I think, is happening at Columbus North, and then Columbus East is having one that is related to the Indiana Bicentennial. We have those fall productions that are happening in both schools, and so hopefully our stakeholders will be interested in going to those and seeing what our kids do. I'm always amazed at the different things that our students can do. I was an athlete in high school, so that was one thing I kind of can associate with, but I'm maybe even more intrigued, more interested in our kids who can sing and dance and perform and be involved with students as you are involved in this kind of production and doing these kinds of things. And so I think our taxpayers, stakeholders, our community members, they need to pay attention to these things, get out and see our students perform. But it's been a great fall thus far. Volleyball, I think I forgot to mention volleyball, that's still progressing with those tournaments, but just an outstanding season, and congratulations to all of our students, coaches, and adults that are involved in those programs.
Well, thank you very much, especially from my standpoint of being in the Thespian Society at North.
Yes.
And we're very thankful for your compliments.
No problem.
So, in an early edition of BCSC in Action, you talked about BCSC having a larger presence on social media and Facebook and Twitter and things like that. So how is that developing?
It's developing very well. So from a public relations standpoint, one of the 3 key items we identified straight out of the gate in terms of my involvement in the school corporation. So we try to get Facebook going, we try to get Twitter going, and all of you youngsters are involved in that. I know heavily, actually probably something else by now. But Facebook getting a ton of likes, and Twitter a ton of follows. I had to make sure I got that right in terms of which one goes with which. And we're active every day. We have something coming out on those two social media sites every day celebrating the successes that we have. So as we just talked about all those sports, and I apologize to any sports team that I missed because everything is important in any other activity, but as we have all those things happening, we are trying to make sure that the public is aware of those. So again, community members, if you are not following us on Twitter, liking us on Facebook, make sure and do that. The easiest way would be just to go to each of those sites, type in Bartholomew Consolidated School Corporation, and you will get straight to our areas and you can begin to follow us. And then this TV show has been a great part of our public relations too. I think the first one worked out great. We have the second one going as well now, and this is, I think, the third episode perhaps that we're doing. So this is just a great way again for us to get some information out about our school corporation in another format, another way to our community.
So in our last segment, you also spoke briefly about district improvement plan. So how is that progressing, and are there any updates on it?
There are, and you're doing a great job of following those key items we identified before, because public relations was one, our district improvement plan is another, and we've already talked about facilities and perhaps districting, which was a third. So we've covered those, appreciate those questions today. But in this particular case, we are meeting with a lot of stakeholders, just trying to get ideas involved so we can begin to put together that plan. One of the things that I try to do right out of in the beginning of my term as superintendent was to get into as many buildings as possible, and I've now been to all of them. I've sat down and talked with leaders in each of our buildings, including the buildings that don't have students in them, because we have 3 of those, and just learning what is going great in our school corporation, where are there perhaps some opportunities for improvement, because there always are opportunities for improvement, beginning to list those, and then putting that again into an action plan. We have a group called the Corporation Continuous Improvement Council. I have to get all that out there, a lot of words, CCIC. We have a group that's been in existence for a long time, and we've met twice already, just talking about how this plan can go forward and how we can take some of the ideas that I have coming in as a new superintendent and combine that with things that are already going on. And then we have something called the Community Education Coalition here in Bartholomew County. It's a great group of a variety of community members that get together trying to support education, and that's all of the schools that we have here from a public school standpoint, includes Flat Rock Hall Creek School as well, but also includes the post-secondary institutions. They have come up with a great continuous improvement model that has been used to flush out different ways of getting better. We are enlisting the help of that education coalition. John Burnett and Jack Hess are 2 individuals specifically involved in that. We've also received a grant from the Indiana Center for Teacher Quality that has a capacity instrument that we'll use to determine how well our learning environments are working and what improvements we can make there. So we have these different tools that exist already that we're bringing into my situation of bringing a fresh perspective, perhaps new perspective into the corporation, and just talking about how can we get better, what do our stakeholders expect out of us, and what is it that we can do to be the best school corporation in the state of Indiana, because I would hope as we continue to march forward, and when somebody thinks about Bartholomew Consolidated Schools, is the first thing that jumps to mind is, gosh, they're the best at just about everything they do.
Well, so our final question is about how ISTEP testing is affecting BCSC. So can you give us a new update on where the ISTEP panel is, and like if they're going to decide on a new or a different ISTEP?
Yeah. I can try. I am one of Governor Pitts' appointments to the ISTEP panel. There are 23 members on that panel. We have been meeting monthly since May. We have a due date of December 1st to make a recommendation to the legislature. And we have 2 meetings left as of the taping of this particular episode. Those are in November. We'll see how those go. We have our last meeting scheduled for November 29th, and that will result hopefully in a recommendation to the legislature. I say hopefully, I'm convinced that will indeed be the case. We are looking at all kinds of options in terms of what the new assessment system might look like for our students. The current one is one that just almost to a person agrees that it's not very good. It takes too long. We're not getting results back in a timely manner. There have been issues with it in terms of just the administration, whether you're taking paper pencil or doing it online, just issues. And so we're trying to correct all of that. But some ideas would be perhaps in grades 3 through 8, you have some kind of computer adaptive test where students would take that a variety of times over the course of the year, get results back almost immediately, or at least very quickly, and then teachers be able to take that information and make instructional decisions on that information so they can drive what happens and drive growth in students. So that's an idea. One of the things that I proposed at the high school level was, we're taking this end-of-course assessment in Algebra 1 or English 10 before. Now it became just a grade 10 I-STEP test, so using the same terminology as grades 3 through 8. Looking forward, we already have some great tests that are out there that students feel like they have to take for college and career readiness. The ACT, for example.
Yes.
The SAT, perhaps. As a school corporation, we already have every student take the ACT. Could the state pay for that test and just already do what Bartholomew Consolidated is doing and spread that around the rest of the state of Indiana? And that be a part of the high school assessment, is just have every student participate in the ACT. That way, every student in the state has a number. It kind of tells them where they stand in regards to college and career readiness, and gives the school an opportunity to kind of work on that number if necessary. So that's an idea that I've at least tossed out. But we are weighing. I say that I've thrown out that idea. There have been 1,000 ideas that have been thrown out. So we're trying to process all of those, and again, in a very short period of time. 2 more meetings left. We'll see if we can come up with a recommendation for the legislature, and I'm confident that we will. It'll be something that will be better than what we've had, and will be first and foremost student-centered, and that will benefit us in terms of being able to track student growth.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Dr. Roberts, and this is the 3rd installment of BCSC in Action.
You're very
so
welcome.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Jenna. Thank you.
In our second segment, we learn about the resources available to help deepen our understanding of universal design for learning.
As we continue our journey into universal design for learning, it is important that all stakeholders, faculty, staff, and even students know where to find resources and information. CAST, where the Universal Design for Learning seed was planted and has grown, is a nonprofit education research and development organization that works to expand learning opportunities for all individuals. Go to cast.org to browse the CAST website to see where the journey into UDL began, get the latest research, and learn the basics. There is even a free online book available that features many BCSC educators. You will need to log in to gain access. Go to Search, type in Theory and Practice, and then click the Search button. You will find the book link under Universal Design for Learning, Theory and Practice. Click here. Now scroll down to the bottom of the page and you will see Get the free web edition. From here you will need to create an account, and then you will have access into this very valuable UDL resource. Head over to BCSC's website at www.bcsc.k12.in.us to access the BCSC UDL page, which is found at the bottom right. Click on UDL. Our own BCSC UDL website offers a wealth of information. New this year is a link to technology tools, which are organized by the UDL principals. These are a fantastic resource for our teachers. Click on each principal to learn more about the digital tech resources available. The link to our UDL Teacher Spotlight is where we have featured elementary and secondary teachers in BCSC. Take a look to see how these teachers incorporate UDL into their learning environments. You will see a bio on each teacher and also a connection to the UDL principles and guidelines. There is also a link to a Universal Design for Learning blog written by our UDL coordinator, Rhonda Laswell. The blog does an excellent job of breaking down the UDL guidelines and principles so they are easily understood. All the articles are organized by date. Scroll to the bottom to learn about UDL basics and then progress up to gain a deeper understanding of the principles and guidelines. Finally, check out the videos located at the BCSC UDL website. These will take you on a journey through Universal Design for Learning in BCSC. As you can see, there are many resources available to increase your understanding of UDL. So no matter if you are a community member, are new to UDL, or a seasoned BCSC veteran educator, there is support and resources available. Join us for our January segment, which will take us into learning environments within BCSC, giving you an authentic view of what UDL truly looks like in action.
In our third segment and final segment, we learn about Bartholomew Consolidated School Foundation and its new director, Susie Bruin.
Hi, I'm Chris Jackson. I'm here with Mrs. Susie Bruin. She is the new executive director for the school foundation. And I just have a couple of questions for you today, Mrs.
Great.
Bruin.
Thank you.
So first off, I understand that you're in a new position within BCSC. Can you talk to us about that and maybe give us a little bit background on this new role and about yourself?
Oh, sure. Well, in October, I took over as the executive director for the school foundation, or BCSF. So as the director, I'm going to have an opportunity to work with the community, whether it be on an individual level, with companies, or with organizations, of how can we really positively impact both our teachers and our students in BCSC. A little bit about my background. I've been with BCSC for a little over 4 years. I've been a project manager at CSA Lincoln. I was the nutrition assistance coordinator here in the district before taking on this role. And prior to that, when we were in Texas, I actually worked for the American Productivity and Quality Center for about 15 years, helping worldwide organizations improve their processes and their quality within their organizations.
All right. So you mentioned that the foundation awards grants to educators in BCSC. Can you please share with us a few of the grants that were awarded in this last cycle?
Sure. In October of this past year, there was about $32,000 that was given to teachers and students with 16 grants. I just wanted to share with you just a few of them, if that'd be okay.
Sure.
So one of the first ones I want to talk about is with Bright Beginnings. They have Bright Beginning Bucks, where we have students that are parents and really trying to help them stay engaged with the school. So that way, from Bright Beginnings, they're giving them incentives to stay involved with school. So that's a big piece of that particular grant. Another one I'd like to talk about is the Richards Kindergarten team. They wanted to incorporate science activities to enrich reading, so really kind of a STEM project in the kindergarten level. And so they're doing all types of activities, purchasing items so they can do science activities for reading comprehension, fluency, as well as writing proficiency. So there's some great pictures of that that'll be available.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, another, at the middle school level, we granted Kate Slabowski. She's over at Central Middle School, and she's going to be purchasing plants in January from the Wisconsin, and it's called the Wisconsin Fast Plants Program. So the kids are actually going to experience firsthand genetics. So not just reading about it, but actually experiencing it.
Yeah.
And another grant that was given out was at the CSA New Tech to Cindy Worth, and it's her team that is working on 10 Chef 2 program. So really looking at how do you do a food source. So it's basically from classroom to table, really helping the kids understand that is so important to be able to feed yourselves in an organic aspect.
Yeah.
And probably the last one to talk about today would be the grant that went to Kevin Welch over at the Columbus East Drama Club. So really helping them with some funding to the grants so that they can do teaching, the teaching materials for the drama club, and really enhancing that program as well, because I know Kevin and his team just did a wonderful production this past weekend. So some of that grant money is helping those types of things take place. So as you can see, the grants are from the itty bitty babies over at Bright Beginnings all the way through our high schoolers. So we're really proud of being able to affect all the different aspects of BCSC.
Well, that sounds amazing. I recently saw that the Bartholomew Consolidated School Foundation just celebrated 61 years of service.
We did.
Can you tell us more about the history of the foundation and its role today and sort of the vision for the future?
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, it was just this week we celebrated that 61st anniversary for the foundation. And it's, you know what, it started back in 1955, so there's a small group of individuals that were very passionate about kind of filling in the gaps for this community as it relates to helping educators and the students to get to that next level. So I'm so grateful that they did that 61 years ago and had that vision, and the vision hasn't changed. It is really helping all BCSC students achieve and have an enriched experience with the education system.
All right. And how can people get involved with the School Foundation?
Oh, you know what? They can give me a call directly. They can reach me at 812-378-4733. They can go on our website. There's information there, and they can even donate online if they choose.
All right. Well, that's all great information. Thank you for talking with us today, Mrs.
Absolutely.
Bruin.
Absolutely. It was great to meet you. Take care.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed our third installment of BCSC in Action. Continuous improvement comes in different forms. Whether it's planning the future of our facilities, communicating with all of our stakeholders, putting great ideas into practice, or celebrating individual successes, you can be sure that BCSC is in action. We hope you enjoyed our show. Thanks for watching, and be sure to look for our next installment of BCSC Action in December.